Okay, hi. Yeah, so this is a new addition to the video. You're not hallucinating, you're not going crazy. I decided to add this part to the beginning of how to make an antagonist for very obvious reasons, and I'm going to explain them now. First off, you're probably noticing that the third part, how to write a supporting character, is gone. Yeah, I know, it's gone. I have no idea as to why. I'm trying to figure that out now. But in the meantime, if it doesn't show up in the next, I don't know, like 32, 36 hours, I guess, I'm just going to have to re-upload it and call it a day that, and just remake it. No harm done. That will probably put a big delay on some of the other projects that I'm doing, which I'll probably keep you posted on once I remake how to write a supporting character. And, of course, how to write a character's death, which is a big yay! So, yeah, that'll be fun. In the meantime, though, hopefully this little message at the start didn't affect your viewing pleasure of learning how to write an antagonist, and hopefully you enjoy the video. Peace. When it comes to writing, characters especially, you need to compare characters to the 4 seasons we all experience. For within these seasons is change for the better and the worse. This can be explicitly seen in fall as trees wither and slowly die, to winter where death is the main mascot. More prevalently is the fact that characters are more or less similar to this train of thought. How they grow, change, and develop is mostly up to them and their circumstances. So today, for our example, to better explain how to write an antagonist, we are going to do a game story that not only demonstrates the changes a person can undergo, but also to show how a person can be corrupted. That's right. Today, we are going to Red Dead Redemption 2 is a story about outlaws slowly but surely fizzling out over the new age of progress, where they are more pests and ghosts rather than individuals and people. Yet, we see the opposite end of the spectrum within the Vanderlyn gang, who surprisingly treat each other like family. Albeit a rowdy, mean-spirited, sometimes even angry family, it's still a warm and caring environment at the end of the day, where even a child like Jack Marston can be safe. Now, given that these people are hardened criminals, they must be the focal point of the antagonist today, right? Close. Our focus for now is going to be on 2 individuals who shape the story of Red Dead and mold our soon-to-be antagonist, who is... drumroll. Please? Oh, come on, please. There we go. Dutch Vanderlyn. I know. Shocker. It's the guy that was the main villain in the first game. But here, he's different. Vastly different than his future counterpart. And it might be time to understand why. So brace yourselves, because we are going to start with the... When first introduced to Dutch, we are given a rather completely different person when compared to the first game. For starters, he has an actual moral compass that isn't grayed or askew. In fact, he outright demands that whenever you conduct a robbery, you don't have to kill anyone, and scolds you for doing so. In certain camp events, he worries for Arthur if his honor is too low, from killing so many innocents, and of course, to him, it's alarming. More often than most, though, is his outright commitment to not leave a member of the gang behind, which stands out much more prominently in the first chapter, and is something he must have learned from his mentor, Hosea, who is one of the key pieces in this story. Now, Hosea is a guiding hand to a lot of Dutch's plans, schemes, and of course, his antics, imparting his own 2 cents on any matter that Dutch may be scheming up. Some go as far to say that those 2 are like their dads in a way, with Hosea being both wise and smart, having done a lot of jobs and done a lot of things that he considers himself an evil bastard for. He tries to guide both Dutch and the gang onto a path that will lead or should I say, help ease their problems and troubles, and does this so he can presumably die with a fulfilled conscience. Dutch, however, roped Hosea into this gang as well as everyone else into it with his ambitious ideals. For starters, Dutch believed that the system was wrong, that many poor people suffered for the sake of some rich individuals and chose to rob them rather than the common humble folk. He believes that the West should stay free, and continues in his pursuits to keep fighting just to protect that freedom till the bitter end. He is a man fighting progress, the progress of which is trying to end his way of life, his freedoms and liberties, something that can be viewed in itself as courageous, even from an outsider's view. But the company Dutch keeps aren't just simple outsiders. They are people who were downtrodden, in despair, and beyond depressed, if that is even considered a thing in today's world. The people he saved, keyword, saved, view him as a hero, a kind man who assists the lowly and beaten, who is well versed in speech and can read. In the 1890s, this is very rare to find. Even the most decent paying jobs required you to read, which again is interesting. Then there's the clothes he wears and his constant planning, which shows his diligence to think things through, and with the help of Hosea, a wise counselor throughout the game and up to his final moments, it can't be beaten or unmatched. Now, to the keen viewer who played Red Dead Redemption 1, something seems amiss. This can't be the Dutch van der Linde we know. Dutch is a gruesome killer who shot a woman in cold blood just to delay the law by a few seconds. Something this Dutch does not condone and outright hates. In fact, when the Pinkertons showed up at their own camp, his very own front door, his home, he could have killed them right then and there and been done with it, but he didn't, showing that he had some sort of morality and honor to even his most spiteful opponents. So, what exactly happened to Dutch? What changed him? When it comes to Dutch van der Linde, we notice his changes gradually, if not slowly, as we progress throughout the story of Red Dead. We see glimpses of the Dutch van der Linde we are familiar with throughout Red Dead 1. The cold, uncaring Dutch van der Linde who kills innocents and is a major contradiction to the one in the prequel, who forbids these actions, if not outright abhors them. These changes are most notable or noticeable in the later chapters of the Saint Denis arc, wherein one character has a major effect on Dutch, or rather helps Dutch resurface his old behaviors from a time ago. You see, Dutch has been a fighter. Not that he still isn't one. When he was younger, he struck out on his own, fighting anyone who got in his way, like his own mother. Dutch wanted freedom more than anything else, and believed that the Wild West would provide such opportunities. He wasn't wrong, but also found himself in positions that were more than uncompromising. Even though we know so little of Dutch at the beginning, we can tell that he seems to really believe in this dream of his, this idea of freedom. However, as the story goes on and losses mount, his idea and ideology slowly gets corrupted. This corruption accelerates slowly with the deception of Angelo Bronte, wherein Dutch gets his revenge by brutally and mercilessly drowning the man before throwing him into the alligator-infested water, where his remains are eaten in front of everyone. We outright see John call him out on such brutality. This man who's been educated, well-versed, and knowledgeable now kills with viciousness and merciless intent, something that is seen by everyone as something new. But this behavior is thought to end after getting revenge, which even Arthur has learned is an idiot's game, and he coined the phrase himself from Dutch, who said, "Revenge is simply a luxury we cannot afford." Sadly, the sorrows do not end, as their bank heist, or as they continue with their idea of a bank heist and then completely rob the bank, one of the worst outcomes happen. Where this time, well, everything goes belly up as they take 2 more casualties, already losing more people like Sean Maguire and of course Hosea Matthews and Lenny Summers. Wherein, and I'm going to keep this brief and fast, Lenny Summers, the young brave man who always was willing to put his life on the line, finally had that life be taken from him when he put it too far out there. And Hosea Matthews, well, when he died, he solidified the gang's slow descent into chaos and madness. With these two deaths, Dutch and nearly everyone was racked with grief and rage. But worst of all, Dutch is affected by this. He just lost his counsel, his main guide through his decisions, and his check and balance to his reckless and chaotic actions. This, tied with the doubt from the gang continuously losing faith, spirals into him making one of the worst calls of all time that surely ensnares the gang's throat on the largest noose around. He entrusts second in command to Micah Bell, a continuous yes man throughout the game, the man who supposedly egged on Dutch's actions to kill an innocent woman who just became a mother during the Blackwater massacre. This person, being the only person he trusts, is a shady and quite desperate choice to make, as during this run, the gang condemns themselves. Dutch goes on one of the largest shootouts and murder sprees that the gang had ever done, nearly combining the kill count of the Blackwater massacre, killing innocent folk and Pinkertons alike. Dutch slowly succumbs to this corruption, and eventually he goes too far, and he's gone by the end of it. He has gone the way of the dishonorable and is willing to leave his former sons and friends behind for the sake of wealth and his own safety. Something the old Dutch clearly would never have done, even in a position like this. Something to consider is the fact that not only did Dutch turn this way because of many outside factors, but also because of the many hidden and stalled wants and ambitions within himself. Something that the wise and clever players will notice. Even at the end of it all, he loses himself even further as he watches one of his very own sons, Arthur Morgan, die right in front of him. This completely shatters Dutch's morality. And of course, he loses himself and becomes secluded in the mountains. When Dutch finally comes to his senses, thanks to all that clarity from being left alone, he shoots Micah. And after Micah is finished off by John Marston, the one who caused the downfall of the Vanderlyn gang, the one who casted the very first stone, he finally finds himself and retreats to resort his life, reignite his ambitions, and begin his fight again against the world. Now, the ugly truth is, Dutch, he is a man with a serious ambition that can easily grow malformed and corrupted. He wishes to fight against progress for the sake of keeping his freedoms, to continue his ride in the free, open country, taking what they need or want without consequence, to ride free and live free without being chained by the rich and wealthy. He operates on the idea that the world is filled with so many corrupted and enamored by greed, so full and fat off their lands, that they only now find appetites for more. He is a dedicated man who fights something that's unbeatable, something that's impossible to stop. He is trying to fight the one thing he knows he cannot win against: progress. When Dutch finally gives up, he finds another bit of clarity, his one last plan. He realizes that his fight is never ending. In his own words, you can't fight progress, you can't fight nature, and you can't fight gravity. This goes to show one thing about an antagonist. Sure, make one that's simply evil for the sake of being evil, but it's not realistic. A villain tends to believe themselves to be a hero, or have heroic aspirations that grow corrupted, as does their philosophy as time goes on. Dutch still loses himself, doing things that result in his former honorable look and eccentric style being a facade and a lie, as he leads a desperate band of angry and sad Native Americans to rebel against the country, thus resulting in more death, more chaos, and the slow, maddening descent of Dutch Vanderlyn up until his inevitable death at the hands of progress he tried to fight back. When it comes to a villain, they should always be a force against the protagonist, and they can either be the blind to the world they made, the pain they cause, and the hurt that afflicts all around them, or they are just oblivious to it for the sake of some goal. One that anyone can view as selfish or honorable, although that doesn't mean you should make your audience sympathize with your antagonist. Sometimes even a lovable or lovably hateable antagonist can be just as good. So, when it comes to an antagonist, you must remember that all things that drive a plot come from a natural human desire. Whether it be the 7 deadly sins, the sought to revive an old loved one, or the ambition to combat even the most impossible of objects like progress, an antagonist must embody something natural and believable. This isn't just to make them more human, but to also make them more realistic and understandable. Even if their ideals are corrupted and misshapen like a wrought piece of iron, that is simply just the way, well, that is the way of how to write an antagonist. Hey guys, it's me, the storyteller and the editor. Either way. So, since gaming isn't doing well and my one character psychology video did so well, I'm thinking about focusing more on writing and character analysis rather than gaming this year, and seeing how it goes. For now, I have a few announcements to make regarding this new style and idea. Firstly, I'm going to try and make a consistent upload schedule, but not a daily one, rather a weekly or monthly schedule, just so I can focus on college and other things. In the meantime, I'm already working on how to write a supporting character, but it will take some time to make and edit these videos, so be patient. For now though, if you want some more quick and rapid fire tips for writing, or just want to hear my lovely voice, then please hop onto my podcast, The Hot Take, where we make jokes and talk about a variety of things, not just writing, but also D&D and Call of Cthulhu. Aside from that, thanks for watching, and have a lovely and harmonic day. Oh, and as a quick little side note, if you're thinking that me switching the style on YouTube means I'm going to stop Twitch streaming, you're kind of wrong. I'm still going to be streaming. Just tune in on Twitch if you feel like showing up, and being a bit of a party animal like me. Thanks for watching.